Full disclosure, news and commentary number
48. Do we have a unicorn filter on this thing? No, we're too cheap for that. Okay. Boom.
Oh, unicorn filter. So clever. Like I would ever do any kind of cheap theatrics like that. What? Good. Walk off in shame as all teenagers must. It is the circle of life. It's the circle of life. Welcome to Full Disclosure. Woo! It's a big one tonight. I'm incorporating a video piece, a picture piece. There's rants ready to go. I know people are dying for me to jump in. A lot of people throwing news at me. A lot of people throwing stuff at me. And you know what? I love it. I love it! I love it! This kid's beard's coming in. You see this, right? Mm-hmm. Yes. All right, let's do an unboxing. You can help me with the unboxing, kiddo, and then we gotta get going. All right. Are you strong enough to open this thing?
I think so.
Here, I'll get you started. There you go. Woo! Feeling it.
Please say there's in the bag. There's a bag inside the
Ooh,
bag.
it came with stuff and things.
Beverly Kills.
Beverly Kills.
This is probably gonna
That's
be back
where I wanna be. Living in Beverly. I think I've heard of Beverly Kills. I think it's a brand. I don't know, like some podcaster was talking about, maybe Joe Rogan or somebody like that. Beverly Kills is, I'm not going to read through all that stuff, but cool. They sent this as well. A little card about the, man, way to promote your stuff. So this is a Beverly Kills shirt, huh? I don't know. People have told me that they like it when I find out what the shirt is at the same time they do. So I'm not going to look at it, and then I'm going to reveal it. What's it say?
Ego kills talent.
Ego kills talent! Ah! Is this in response to my give up your ego for the act? Love it! It's very aggressive. Can you do any lines from this movie? Very aggressive.
You must be so proud. Wanted to take on the world.
Oh, that's parenting when you can quote Teddy KGB at age 8. All right, kiddo, go enjoy your life. I'm going to cook dinner after I record this.
Life is gonna be done.
Oh my gosh, I love it, I love it, I love it. All right, let's get into it. Hey, who are the Patreon people? They're Brett and Brian and Dan and Derek and Diana and Jeffrey and Josh. Larry, not that one, but the other one, and Logan and Rob Rod too. Southern Honor and Double Drop Kick, and the 4 giving up at least 25. Dynamite Soul, Viral, Transcendent, and the OG Myron. Yeah! We are we are quickly approaching 200 subscribers. Very happy about that. And work has gone on in earnest for the special surprise for the 200 subscriber celebration. Did the unboxing. Victory Championship Wrestling, which has been reaching out to me and reaching out to a whole bunch of other people, and they got a report in to Georgia Wrestling History, gwhnewsandnotes.blogspot.com. 150. Georgia Pro Championship Wrestling, Rob Rod went to that show, 170. A fundraiser / charity show featuring the people of Renegade Championship Wrestling drew more than 470 paid. More than 470 paid. In light of this, we're going to have a tipping point where we're going to talk to the promoter for Wrestling for a Cause, a show that's happening this week. And Larry came up with the great idea of putting together a bunch of people who have done shows that benefit charities. Someone from Action, for example, or Scenic City. And Tyler who did such a good job promoting and running that freaking show that drew 470. Tyler, I don't think can do it, but hopefully we get somebody in here of note, Dylan Hales or Scott Hensley or Matt Griffin, along with the guy from Wrestling for a Cause, and we can talk about the success that a lot of people have had raising money for different causes through wrestling. What else we got going on? So, but Georgia Pro Championship Wrestling drew 170. Cool. AIWF Southern Showdown. The picture there was of Tommy Rich against Chris Nelms. I saw a match from this show. They drew 80. Proc the Croc against Hold My Beer Hansen. Really good for two guys that are relatively young and new to all of this stuff, man. I'm just a fan of those guys. The promo shit for Platinum Championship Wrestling in the newsroom, ridiculous. I'm loving it. I saw Alan Angels put out a promo. I'm seeing all these promos and different videos, and AWE is now getting their show out on the steady. I saw that the second episode just came out. I have a lot to look at and a lot to review and a lot to do. Clearly, I should have written down the freaking all the shows that I have coming up to record. It's a lot, and it's so much fun. Thank you guys. APW, Rob Rod was at that show as well. Listed crowd, they said 350. Rob Rod counted 220, multiple occasions. Rant. So then somebody went on Georgia Wrestling History site and commented, which people rarely do. People rarely comment on the posts themselves on Georgia Wrestling History, but this person did. I assume it was Jeremy Bain because he was saying my staff and blah 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 blah. And I was going to go off forever and a day about it, but Rob Rod, who I contacted just to get his side of this whole thing, I actually do that in case you didn't know. Said he didn't want that. That um, that he didn't want it to become a fracas or a thing. So I'm not going to make it into a fracas or a thing. I will just say this. I am not upset that Rob Rod goes out of his way to count the crowd. It's vital and it's important. And if that was Jeremy Vane that commented at the end of the thing, even Jeremy would say that whoever gave Rob Rod the number of 350 was wrong. That even by Jeremy's own count, he would say that there were 300 people in the building, whatever that means as far as paid and whatever. If groups are going to be upset about Larry, Myron, Nick, Rob Rod, Logan Frazier, Scott Hensley occasionally throws in a report, or anybody else counting your crowd or wanting to know what the crowd count is, then you got a fucking problem. Because, I mean, as Jeremy said, he's like, well, you could just count him yourself. He is counting it himself, but he's trying to get a number from you so you can give your side of the story. And is that a bad thing? Right? He can physically count the people sitting in chairs, but maybe you can make an argument of like, oh no, there's other people watching standing over here, or there are people that were here earlier, and this is our accurate ticket count. Here's three differences between Florida promotions that I go to and the Georgia promotions that I hear about and I have been to. Right? Some of the differences are kind of fundamental. I think Georgia promotions promote via Facebook more, and in Florida, the trend is to move towards Twitter. That's a difference, right? Georgia flat rate for a show is usually around $10. In Florida, it's $15. That's the feeling. That's me clutching my heart. That's what that sound was. Ouch, 15, right? I think another difference is this odd relationship that some Georgia promotions have with the people who are covering their show. Again, if somebody's not there to cover that show, it tends to get lost in antiquity more. Um, I might disagree with any number of people about any number of things, but I think we can all agree that it's better to get your own show report in to Georgia Wrestling History and have it posted than to not have anything. But ideally, you want someone from the outside to come because they're going to talk about your show in more detail. They're going to talk about things that otherwise you would not in your show reports. And butting heads is not the way to go. And asking somebody for the number of your crowd is not rude. And if they give you a number that's way out of whack for what the reality is, and I'm sorry, there's a wide gulf between 350 and 220. It's a huge difference. All right? That's more than a third. And am I going to take some of the blame for insisting on fucking accurate crowd numbers? Absolutely guilty. Bam, as charged, and I'm glad for it. End of this rant is this. Stop fighting the tide and just give accurate numbers. Jeremy Vane's an honorable man. I know this. But let's be honest. The standard in wrestling is bump up your crowds, pump them up, go way up. APW, which draws anywhere between 50 and high 90s for a regular show, if the true number is 220, it's great. If it's 300, as Jeremy is claiming, wonderful, of course. Then that's the number that should have been given to Rob Rod. But whoever was trying to give him 350 when it's 220, you're fucking wrong. And again, Rob Rod has nothing to do with this. This is me, right? This is me. Stop bullshitting, everybody. It's pointless. It's pointless. And it just takes away from your success. And we're on your side, dickheads. If you guys haven't figured it out by now, I've had to like fucking hit so many fucking puppy dogs on the nose with a fucking newspaper lately about just explaining to people. If there's information you want me to have, send it to me and be honest about it, and I will put it out there for you. If you're going to try to argue that things that I think are wrong, you're going to have to prove that shit. But you're not going to be able to just argue me out of things that I think about wrestling. Sorry, doesn't work that way. Whew. All right. There's a whole brouhaha going on at Spinebuster. Steve, did you contact anybody to find out what the real story was? Yes. Yes, I did. What's the real story? Apparently, Jesse, who's a person who helps out with the show, has a conflict with the owner. And Maverick, and there's this whole brouhaha, and then somebody put out there that the cops were called and that there was a fight. It's unsure if it was physical, if it was not physical. There's just some kind of fucking breakdown happening there. I do know this. I saw where Spinebuster had put out a thing where they basically said that Jesse, who's somebody who helped with them with their show a lot, is possibly not going to help him with the show anymore. And everything's in fucking disarray, and we're going to see what the fallout is on Wednesday. Is there more to this story? Yes, I'm not comfortable talking about it. Now, you might be disappointed in that, and I get that. But there were details that were shared with me in confidence, and this probably isn't the direction that you think it is, right? If you think this is about keeping kayfabe or something, it's not. It's about possibly criminal stuff. So, where am I going to talk about it? You can answer that question. Patreon. I'm putting out these Patreon videos, and that's where some of the extra stuff is, and I'm going to talk about it more in detail there, because I don't want to blow up anybody's spot, right? I don't want to fucking get somebody in fucking serious trouble for shit that shouldn't be In my opinion, that's serious. I'll dust up over wrestling shit, but it's a good story. I'm going to put it on Patreon, maybe after this. All right. To me, it's interesting. Interesting, right? Oh, by the way, here's something that I thought was really, really cool. Here's the Busted Open wrestling guys. Have you ever listened to that? I fucking love that shit. But here's something that one of them put up about Logan Creed. Yeah. Pretty cool, right? That tweet. Let me take a look at that. I'm gonna look at that B. But oh shit, let me look at it. Why not? It's gonna take me a second to find it because I'm old. Because I'm really, really old. Oh, there it is. Yay. Um, the Logan Creed may be my new favorite wrestler, especially since he makes his entrance with Faith No More. MLW Fusion, MLW. It's a good looking picture of him too, right? Logan Creed, he got his name on MLW Fusion. He's not Gorgon or Grogan or Greg Brady or whatever the fuck. It's Logan Creed. There's something there to be really proud of for all of us, you know? Oh, that reminds me of something that I'm going to talk about in a video soon, and it's probably going to be in every cloud. And it's going to be my primer for old people to watch new wrestling. That's going to be in every cloud that comes out soon. Yeah. What else is going on? I wanted to talk about this phenomenon of shows that run less frequently, or promotions that we haven't seen run a show in a little while. Because I'm thinking of three in particular: Pro Wrestling Circuit, Viral, and Mucha Lucha. Mucha Lucha, huge crowds, and they are not skimping on the people that they're bringing in for their next show. It's April 12th. I will say that I see more Mucha Lucha stuff on my timeline. I see as much Mucha Lucha stuff on my timeline as I do both SCIs. And that's saying something. So Mucha Lucha is getting their stuff out there. And April 12th, I imagine, is going to be a huge show. I hope somebody of note from Georgia Wrestling History does go to that show. Because I want to know. Because if Viral is going to be in the discussion for one of the top promotions, and it should be. And if Pro Wrestling Circuit certainly should be. I'm going to talk about them in a moment. As far as because the number of shows those guys are doing is going to surprise you. That's why I want to talk about it. But Mucha Lucha, I want to see what that phenomenon's about. You know, there recently was a discussion I saw online where people were talking about going to shows live is the way to go. And that's absolutely true. And I want to know, how's it, how they look, how they smell. Spare me nothing. What movie's that? Just Cause. Fucking how good was Ed Harris as the fucking psycho fucking guy? He was so good. Trials of Job are waiting for you, motherfucker. Trials of Job. Sorry, I digress. You know how I do. But Mucha Lucha, that's going to be a big one, right? I was told that Viral has already pre-sold for their Undeniable show. Shout out to Matt Hankins. For their Undeniable show on April 18th, they've already pre-sold 93 tickets. It's pretty fucking good. There are promotions that don't get 93, and they've already pre-sold that, which I would imagine is at least their entire first row and part of their second row. And that show isn't happening for a month and a half yet. Huh? Pro Wrestling Circuit. They're going to be back on March 29th. They haven't done shows in a while. Remember, like Pro Wrestling Circuit was constantly part of the discussion, but they just haven't done shows in a while. But here's the thing, they're doing at least one show a month or even two shows a month in a couple of those months until the end of the year. And they already have their shit all booked out. That's another trait that Viral shares. Viral has all their shows like set when they're doing them till the end of the year. That's how they know they're doing 8. Mucha Lucha has their shows set, right? I think it's an interesting phenomenon, and again, it's forcing me to rethink what I think about things. When you have these shows that are incredibly well run, like each one of them boasts something very unique, right? Mucha Lucha, it's the fucking huge crowds and the very different experience and the one that caters to a very different audience unapologetically, but it's still here in Georgia and it uses a lot of like Georgia mainstays, right? Viral has made the argument long and loud. They've stepped up their production, right? They've stepped up their presence. James Caleb Kitchens is a fucking annoying motherfucker that just, but I get why he is that way, right? They are a major piece on the board right now. And Pro Wrestling Circuit, they probably got more sponsors lined up than anybody, right? It's a show that's efficiently run. And the thing is, they've had fucking clusterfucks to deal with in every show that they've done so far. Top babyface is not showing up and blah, blah, blah. And they just roll with it. And they just roll with it. And they're still here. Now they got all these shows set up and they got sponsor money and they got all that kind of stuff. Really impressive, right? It's a new era in pro wrestling in general and in Georgia wrestling. And if you haven't noticed that or you haven't noted it or you're living in denial of it, I'm here to tell you, here's my rant. Wrestling has changed. And I think the initial instinct is to go, well, if it's changed for the worse. But in a lot of ways, it's much better. I think we do show evidence of people who have learned from the mistakes of other people. Because, yes, and nobody's been able to convince me I'm wrong about this part yet. The less shows you run, the less nuanced storytelling you can do. Can you still tell a story? Sure. Can you bridge things with Twitter or whatever? Yeah. Is that the same as a live event? No. However, I will allow that I need to step back and analyze. Because I'd rather be right than feel like I'm right. And things are changing. Like I said, I'm going to do that, every cloud about the primer for old people because people can continue to look at AEW and go like, yeah, fuck that shit, it's failing. No, it's not. And I mean, you can sense this. If you looked at, now you have a year's worth of videos to watch. And a couple people have noted, God, it seems like you're fucking enjoying pro wrestling a little more each week. The answer is I am. And a lot of that came from me adapting. Now, am I ever going to be Dave Meltzer where I'm going to fucking sell my soul and seemingly give up every standard that I used to hold in order to be relevant? Nah, I'm me. But I think having a bit of an open mind, because it's not just that things are different, it's that they are structurally different from a storytelling perspective to how promotions are run, how they interact with their fans. But tell me, um, who's doing a better job right now of seeming like an event and seeming like the thing that people are talking about? AEW eats up at least half of the wrestling news space. Now you're saying, well, what the fuck does that matter? Matters. When you're a small group fighting a guerrilla war against a fucking unstoppable empire juggernaut, being in the conversation, like Eric Bischoff took that famous swipe because Tony Khan sort of made fun of WCW at one era. And so Eric Bischoff goes like, oh, you spent $30 million just to compete with the WWE's like fucking developmental show. Yes, that's a good burn. But you know what else? AEW is in the fight. And they didn't have the backing of fucking Ted Turner's money. They didn't have any of that. It's literally a promotion influenced and run by a small group of the boys that's managing to make it work. Because most promotions on a microcosm level that are run by the boys are fucking disasters. There's not one in Georgia that's any fucking good at all. Another difference between Georgia and Florida is there are Florida promotions that are run by the boys that are actually okay. That's a miracle. One more miracle and they can achieve sainthood. So not only am I going to do that primer for old people, Every Cloud Has a Platinum Lining, I'm going to do a special video comparing, I'm going to try to do it this week, SCI versus SCI, Tale of the Tape. I'm calling it. I just made that up. That's fucking good. SCI versus SCI, Tale of the Tape, and a preview of the fight between the two skies. Who's winning so far? Who's winning the promotional war? Who's put together the better list of entrants into their tournament? Who's doing a better job framing the argument? What are the opinions, by and large, of the boys? Is this a good thing? Is this a bad thing? Is it a blasphemous thing that there's a Southern Cup Invitational? Etc., etc., etc. I think you're going to want to tune in for that. I'm going to actually have to do research and add graphics. And God, you can sense my agony. But I need to overcome my own ego about this shit because ego kills talent. Oh. Speaking of talent, I was talking about Sean Tempers actually, but hearing talent reminded me of that because Talent and Money were this great tag team. And then Sean Tempers, when I think of Talent and Money, I also think of fucking Sean Tempers. Guy's fucking great. I know he's taking like ribbing from the fucking boys and shit because he put on weight, but that guy's fucking great. Sean Tempers is also one of the very few outsiders, meaning outside people I didn't train or work with directly, that I would bring into PCW, who I never hung a loss on, I believe. In case you wanted to know what I thought of Sean Tempers. Now, somebody may be able to correct me on that. No, Steve, actually, he lost at the blah, blah, blah. But I don't believe I ever did. I don't ever remember booking that guy to lose. So I wanted to do more with him. It just didn't happen. All right, before we get to the commentary, I didn't tell you what the commentary was about. Well, there's no point in doing it now, right? Matt Gilbert and this meth thing. Whew, sorry. No foreplay, I just jumped right into it. Let me look at the text I received. God damn it. Oh, you're a smart kid. I wanted to have Tyler Gazaway on as part of the tipping point thing, but he's probably not able to do it. But now he's throwing ideas at me. Like, but what if we recorded a thing tonight? What if we blah, 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 and then you could just add it to tipping point? Take the opportunities as they come. It's smart. Let me look at this. Matt Gilbert, 38, charged Monday, possession of meth with the intent to distribute, trafficking, possession of a Schedule II drug, possession and use of drug-related objects, possession of a firearm by a convicted felon, blah, blah, blah. Certainly Matt Wade and Chuck Wade have been gloating long and loud about this. And a number of people have, and he's a fucking crook and he's a fucking loser. And that was certainly when this information was sent to me early on, I looked at it. And you know what I saw in Matt Gilbert? And again, this is just me talking, right? It's me ranting. Fucking sucks. But in the midst of this, right? He's a guy who obviously has problems. I mean, you can look at a picture of the guy and you can just see anecdotally, like, guy's fucked up. And the guy has fucked up, right? He that firearm charge in particular, not because he had a gun, it was scary, but because, he's a felon, so he's not supposed to have a gun. Pretty serious shit. And without doing too much conjecture, I imagine he's in a boatload of fucking trouble. But here's what was interesting. In the midst of Chuck Wade gloating, and I'm going to get to that in a second, and Matt Wade gloating, a number of people spoke very passionately in Matt Gilbert's defense. And from what I can piece together, that he had been clean for a long time, and then he's going through it. Now, you might be expecting me to go to the route of like, so he's completely absolved of all responsibility because he's had hard times and people close to him have died and all of this kind of stuff. No, my take is more nuanced. And there's a scene that I love in Knight's Tale where they've put our hero, Heath Ledger, in the stocks because they found out he was pretending to be a knight, pretending to be of royal descent. And so they're going to punish him for it. But he's freed by Prince Richard, I believe. And Prince Richard says this really awesome thing. Your men love you. If I knew nothing else about you, that would be enough. But you tilt when you should withdraw, and that is knightly too. I'm getting a little fucking teary. And the reason is because I was looking at these impassioned pleas from friends of his who were defending him. Like, I'll fucking fight anybody. I mean, that was the implication from a number of people of like, fucking, you can't just dismiss this fucking guy. I won't let you dismiss him. He's a good guy. I don't know Matt Gilbert, right? But his men love him. If I knew nothing else about him, that would be enough. But he puts himself out there when he should probably withdraw, and that is knightly too. Um, I will just say, I wish him the best of luck. Um, God, I hope he fucking gets it together because it seems like there's a number of people who are rooting for him too. Now, Chuck Wade and Matt Wade sort of jumping all over this thing. I mean, they're judging him, right? And people always say, like, you can't judge, you can't judge, you can't judge. I've heard that argument many times before, but fuck. What am I saying? That I can judge? What the fuck do you think? You didn't know I had speed like that. You didn't know I had ups like that. You didn't know that I had it like that. But I do, but I do, but I do. Sorry, when you fucking change in half a second, shit gets fucked up. Hear ye, hear ye. Court is in session. So here's the things that I had a problem with Matt Wade and Chuck Wade fucking. First of all, I'll say what I do understand. I understand a father wanting to protect his son, and I understand a son or that Matt Wade came under a lot of fire for that racist stuff and all the rest of it, and that Matt Gilbert, I would assume, is one of those guys that jumped all over them for it, so now they're going to get theirs in. I get those instincts. I'm not an irrational human being. However, here's the problem. I get that Chuck Wade's thing is to now frame it because that's what we do in the modern era, right? Deny, 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 lie, 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 lie. is there a premise now that Matt Wade never said he wouldn't touch a black guy? Because he did, according to countless people. Are we going to say, when Chuck Wade was kind of going in on Matt Gilbert and saying, like, oh, he's this fucked up loser and this guy who's always, but Matt Wade drunk at a show on more than one occasions. Here's a bit of fucking advice. Sometimes you just keep your fucking head down and shut the fuck up. Shut the fuck up. Remember when I did that rant? Let me do it again. Shut the fuck up. Because if you think that you look like baby faces, to use wrestling parlance that you would be so comfortable with, if you think that that makes you look like a baby face kicking Matt Gilbert when he's down, it does not. If you think it looks like anything more than a couple of fucking scrubs getting their rocks off because now the focus supposedly is going to be off of them for their transgressions, you're wrong. Because I would guess that the overall take is Matt Gilbert, you're still a piece of shit. And Chuck, you went from we can understand because you're the dad defending his son to you seem awfully eager to pile on. And you seem to lack a great deal of empathy. And he's again going on these rants about because the boys are going to backstab you. Boys are going to backstab you, just like they did my son. The boys are going to backstab you. Well, what are you doing? It's bad luck. It's bad luck. Always ask yourself the question, judge yourself. What good can come of this? What is the good that is going to come out of what I'm going to do? And the answer is, I'm not sure, or I don't think anything good is going to come of that. In fact, it's going to be bad for me. Then don't do it. Or take something under advisement, to use another legal term. Let's get to the commentary. Commentary. You know what? Get up here, kid, because you can help me with the commentary.
Comments.
So with this commentary, we're gonna watch something and react to it. Don't talk about like, oh, I can't. I just want you to watch with me, okay? About what you see.
Just a warning, I'm kind of blind when I watch something and it's like, oh. So.
Okay. Speak clearly and loudly. Yeah. All right. Are we ready?
I guess.
And go. And
Go.
go. Oh, because duh, I play it from down here. That just shows play on there. I am the stupid.
In my class, they only allow
Here, let me make sure what's the top. Okay, around the 448 mark. That way I can line everything up. And go. There we go. All right. What do you see, Veronica?
People fighting over fashion line. Wait, no.
Over fashion?
It's someone beating someone up. Oh, poor guy. He never even got a walk.
All right, talk a little. Look at how bad. Does this look good to you, or does this look bad?
This looks bad. He's just an innocent guy with this burger thing on his head.
Does this look like you've been to professional wrestling shows before? If you saw this going on, what would you think?
Oh, no.
There's Cody McCulley. Oh, my God. Dude, just when I was trying to put you... You know, from the back, he kind of looks like Bill Dundee. That's a compliment. And there's a guy going after him with a knife. Is that a Michael Myers mask? Wow. Oh. This looks really bad. Did you see all the Legos on the ground, too? The point of Legos is they're supposed to be this hard thing to throw somebody on. Oh my God, so painful, but it's already the concrete floor. So he carved him up, but he's not bleeding. Wow, that looks. Oh my gosh, please quit. I'm cool if they never showed shirtless dude in the jean shorts ever again. And he's Michael Myers. Why isn't he using that knife if he's still holding it? Oh, Green World Order with the...
Go green, go green.
Look at Cody McCulley throwing good punches that the guy is not selling, but then he throws that weak thing, and then Cody McCulley is selling the weakest freaking cookie dish hit to his head.
Oh, look, Legos.
And now those Legos that are supposed to be so painful to get thrown on, the guys, they're just rolling all over them with no ill effect. This is so bad. This is really terrible. The super kick hit him in the right boob, in the moob. That's a man boob. And what was that? Is that a woman? Is that an old red-haired woman? Is this... She looks like she's... No, I think it is a man, but it looks like he was doing a Golden Girls cosplay.
It isn't an epic graphic fight scene. It's just random dudes with knives.
Just random dudes walking around.
Like
Oh, there's big
Minus
fat
one.
dude. Oh gosh, it's so
Big fat
I'll tell you who the real MVP is. It's the belt holding up that guy's jean shorts.
Ah!
Oh, we have a winner. Oh boy. Please say this is the end of this video. Oh, Michael Myers. That was almost an okay kick. Of course, kick back. Oh, here comes a suplex onto the... Ooh, this is going to be crazy. What?
What? I said to the guy back there, that was...
Even you can tell they botched that move, right?
Yeah.
That was terrible. This is so awful.
It's supposed to be onto the Legos, not
Come
something
here,
like
get
you're
it for the
playing
camera.
airplane with your kid, like...
Oh, not like you're playing airplane with your kid. That was an awesome comment. All right, please go so I can comment. Dad might use bad language here.
I'm used to it.
Disgraceful and embarrassment. I saw any number of people saying the same online. Though, let me say this, some of the people who were heavily critiquing this and saying how it makes this thing obviously look like a shit show and all the rest of it. You're doing shit shows yourself. Let me just throw that out there. So what's my commentary about? Shit shows are always going to exist. Things that embarrass the collective of pro wrestling people are always going to exist. That's a painful fact. They're always going to exist. But shit like that is a whole different level. The fact that that video was put out, seemingly without irony, let me put this out there. Imagine a show that ramshackle and shitty. And I hope people aren't going to try to argue. Larry's calling me. I'll talk to him afterwards. He probably wants to talk about Tipping Point tomorrow. That are so shitty like that. What's the worst case scenario? Because the scene where he picks the guy up and then he decides not to carry him over into the move. Instead, they just kind of flop down. Imagine if that... Here, let me answer this. Sorry. Hey, Larry. Sorry, I'm recording full disclosure right now. Are we going to do Tipping Point tomorrow? Good. Yeah, Tyler said he probably can't do it tomorrow night, but if we wanted to, we could record a thing. I don't know. Sure. Yeah, we'll talk it through. Cool. All right, bye. Sorry. So there's going to be a Tipping Point tomorrow night. Yay. That's what I wanted to confirm. So shit shows are always going to exist. And that's fine in the sense that it's whatever. Here's the problem. And it's exacerbated by Cody McCulley, who is striving to be better, right? He put on a deathmatch show, which defied expectation. And this show, apparently, IWA, whatever the fuck it's called, is run by another deathmatch guy, which is what it is. But the problem isn't that shit shows exist and that matches like this happen, because they always have in wrestling, whether we want to admit to that or not. There have always been shit shows in the history of pro wrestling, right? It's who validates them. So let me make this crystal clear. If you are somebody of note who does a shit show, you do not elevate that show with your reputation. Your reputation is diminished by theirs. A positive times a negative is a negative. If you are a person who's aspiring to have the reputation of somebody that puts on great events, your participation in a shit show and a shit match that embarrasses us all is not elevated by your presence. You are diminished by being present on that show and in that match. And if you are a wrestling fan who goes to shit shows, that's your prerogative. And you can spend your time, money, and resources however you wish. However, if you declare that I'm supporting independent wrestling, you know what I fucking hate? Support independent wrestling as a generic blanket thing. Fuck that. Support what you want to be elevated in this world. And that shit with Grandpa Jelly Roll and all those masked guys that were a fucking disgrace. I don't know what I'm the most upset by. Probably the guy besmirching the good name of Michael fucking Myers. All of that shit devalues us all. But let's be honest. There's a number of shyster shit, tax fucking refund promotions out there that too many of you validate by your very presence. There are plenty of fucking shows to do. There are plenty of great things to be involved. And I saw Cody McCulley just go, yeah, that match, there were some good things that happened on the show. Of course, he had to fucking frame it. That's what people do nowadays. And he said, I had no excuse. That was just a shit match. Yeah. At what point is that just not okay to do? At what point are any of you who have any kind of clout or cred going to stop putting your stamp on a shit show? Because there's a bunch of you that do it. And you can be mad at me. You can be angry at me for saying this. Oh, Steve, are you telling me the whole time you were in Georgia, you never got involved in a shit show? Yeah, I did. It took place in College Park, run by a guy named Rowdy. It was a shit show. And I went to it once or twice because there were PCW people who were going to be booked on that show. So I went there to be supportive to them. It was shit. And another time I went there, and promoter wasn't there, probably because for whatever the reason, the people who were supposed to be in charge did not show up. Whoops. They bailed. I don't know if it was a money thing or they thought they weren't going to make enough on the house or whatever the fucking reason that they weren't there. They weren't there. So I took over that show and I cobbled together a show that made sense to the best of my ability. And I put my guys that I knew and I spread them out throughout the card to try to make a thing happen. But at the end of the day, that's the first time you've ever heard me talk about that publicly. You know why? Because even with my best efforts, and I think the show managed to go okay. And they probably saw a couple things that they've never seen there before, like well-structured good matches, right? Plus the growing of the Stephen Platinum legend. There was one guy, TC Awesome, I think, who came up to me and was like, I'm a veteran. I can do anything. Blah, 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 blah. And he was giving me static, so I just threw the fucking guy out. He was so mad. I was like, I don't fucking need to hear that shit. I want to hear guys who. I get so tired of these fucking guys, right? I'm a 10-year veteran. I'm a 20-year veteran who do a show once a month and they fucking suck and everybody knows it and everybody fucking, oh, okay, you've been a veteran. So I wasn't fucking having it because I didn't want that mentality. That's a shit show mentality. What I wanted was a bunch of guys like, all right, we're going to go out there. We're going to do this great show. We're going to do these things that make linear sense. We're going to do this thing in the beginning that ties into the end. We're just going to do a basic, good show. And that's what we did. But have you ever heard me talk about it before? No. Why? Because I know this simple fact. Because that show, though in practice was elevated by the work that I and others did, but I know at the end of the day, in reality, I'm not pulling that show up. I'm being pulled down by being part of a shit show. So at what point are we going to make that stand? Everybody who's got clout. At what point are you going to quit giving your clout away? At what point are you going to quit giving your clout away? And let me say this to South Georgia, because I've been watching more and more clips, and I've been roundly unimpressed for the most part. Read almost completely. You want to be brought into the fold? I'm happy to help. Vocally, very willing to help. But, motherfuckers, you got to do your part too. And that means the product that you're putting out, especially on Facebook or wherever you're putting these clips out, they better be fucking good. I commented on a clip recently where I just went like, and the spot was half botched. These fucking fat guys knocking each other down. It looked like shit, honestly. But the crowd there's literally people with their hands like bored, and they didn't react a second. So I just said, the crowd's fucking bored out of their fucking skull. And then somebody went, actually, they were popping for the other parts of the show, but thank you for contributing. How long are we going to keep living in fucking denial? Wrestlers, quit fucking fooling yourself. If you're doing spots in a ring and they're not reacting to it, that's a failure. When Nick got fucking pile driven and the crowd didn't give a fuck, that's a failure. That's a shit show mentality. Oh man, they went nuts. The fuck? Here's the problem. You guys don't even know what a pop is because you've probably never really experienced one, or it's been so long you don't really know what it is. Quit associating yourself with things that pull you down. Be so great that you elevate. You're with a group of people who are going in the right direction. Now, if you're in a shit show or a borderline shit show, you might be saying, well, Steve, what the fuck? If nobody will do our show, then what? You have to be attractive to others because they should be raising their standard. You need to get your show up to the point where it's attractive enough that your group at the top pulling it up even more. Yeah, it sucks. Yeah, it's tough. The differences between the people I was able to book from the outside to PCW kept escalating and getting better and better and better. At first, it was guys who, honestly, other promotions weren't using 100% effectively, or they were just considered one of the Barons boys. So they wanted to get out on their own. So I was giving them that chance. I was doing everything by hook or by crook, getting the best people that I could, but rightfully so. All the guys who were considered at the top of Georgia wrestling wouldn't have anything to do with me, or they would have charged such an outrageous amount that I wouldn't have brought them in. So me and my guys that I trained, who were with me every step of the way when the shit was hard as fuck, just worked harder. And we did more shows. And I got all those show reports in. And then it became undeniable. There's that word again. And more people came in. And then I started booking better and better people. And then the guys that I booked from the beginning who came from an outside promotion, they started spreading the gospel. Fuck, Steve's fucking giving me a push. It's fucking awesome. And the guys are so great to work with at PCW and la 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 la. And that locker room was super fucking fun. And we P listed that top 10 things that you should be doing in your promotion. We did them. We became up here. And looking back, I don't blame the guys that were up here when we were down here for refusing to do the show because, again, you wouldn't have been elevated. You wouldn't have been able to elevate PCW's reputation as much as people always think that way. We would have dragged you down to ours. Jeff G. Bailey, and they're like, Steve, why do you talk so highly of Jeff G. Bailey? Because Jeff G. really took a chance coming and doing PCW. Because our reputation wasn't quite at the top yet, but it was higher than it used to be. And then Jeff joined the team of Team. We're almost there. And he was one of the guys that got us there. But make no mistake about it, all that original crew and the people that came in along the way before 11/11/11, are the ones that got us there. Stop doing shit shows. Stop being a part of matches that fucking embarrass us all. And this goes out to everybody. There's so many shows out there to do that are good and getting better, or used to be bad, but now that they're passably good and with the right influence and a couple of right pieces of talent could be good. Go find one of them. Quit doing shit like this. When my 8-year-old can look at your thing and fucking laugh at it, my 8-year-old's laughing at that match. My 8-year-old's laughing at you. Stop being a joke and start being the man. This has been Full Disclosure.